to an installment of ASMR audio. So today I'm going to be reading a book, and the book I'm going to be reading is Frog and Toad. Now, this is the Frog and Toad treasury, okay? So that means that there are many stories about our dear friends, Frog and Toad. Now, I always find that listening to books and listening to ASMR are both my favorite things to do to get relaxed and to get sleepy. So I'm going to be helping you out with that so that you can feel that too, okay? So this is written by Arnold Lobel, and we can see in the cover we've got Frog and Toad, and they are doing exactly what I will be doing to you, okay? So I'm gonna open this up and let's see if I can find a story that fits where I am in my life. Okay, let's see here. Perfect. So this story is called The Story, okay? One day in summer, Frog was not feeling well. Toad said, "Frog, you're looking quite green." "But I always look green," said Frog. "I'm a frog." "Today you look very green, even for a frog," said Toad. "Get into my bed and rest." Toad made Frog a cup of hot tea. Frog drank from the tea, and then he said, "Tell me a story while I am resting." "All right," said Toad. "Let me think of a story to tell you." Toad thought and thought, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. "I will go out on the front porch and walk up and down," said Toad. "Perhaps that will help me tell a story." Toad walked up and down on the porch for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad went into the house and stood on his head. "Why are you standing on your head?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I stand on my head, it will help me to think of a story," said Toad. Toad stood on his head for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad poured a glass of water on his head. "Why are you pouring water on your head?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I pour water over my head, it will help me to think of a story," said Toad. Toad poured many glasses of water over his head, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Here we have a picture. This is a beautiful picture. Then Toad began to bang his head against the wall. "Why are you banging your head against the wall?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I bang my head against the wall hard enough, it will help me to think of a story," said Toad. "I am feeling much better now, Toad," said Frog. "I do not think that I need a story anymore." "Then you get out of bed and let me get into it," said Toad, "because now I feel terrible." Frog said, "Would you like me to tell you a story, Toad?" "Yes," said Toad, "if you know one." Once upon a time, said Frog, there were two friends, a frog and a toad. The frog was not feeling well. He asked his friend the toad to tell him a story. The toad could not think of a story. He walked up and down on the porch, but he could not think of a story. He stood on his head, but he could not think of a story. He poured water over his head, but he could not think of a story. He banged his head against the wall, but he could still not think of a story. Then the toad did not feel so well, and the frog was feeling better. So the toad went to bed, and the frog got up and told him a story. The end. How was that, Toad? Frog said. But Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. And that is the end of the story called The Story. Awesome! Okay, so the next book, the next story in this book that I'm going to read is The Letter. Toad was sitting on his front porch. Frog came along and said, "What is the matter, Toad? You are looking sad." "Yes," said Toad, "this is my sad time of day. It is the time when I wait for the mail to come. It always makes me very unhappy." "Why is that?" asked Frog. "Because I never get any mail," said Toad. "Not ever?" asked Frog. "No, never," said Toad. "No one has ever sent me a letter. Every day my mailbox is empty. That is why waiting for the mail is a sad time for me." Frog and Toad sat on the porch, feeling sad together. Then Frog said, "I have to go home now, Toad. There is something that I must do." Frog hurried home. He found a pencil and a piece of paper. He wrote on the paper. He put the paper in an envelope, and on the envelope he wrote, "A letter for Toad." Frog ran out of his house. He saw a snail that he knew. "Snail," said Frog, "please take this letter to Toad's house and put it in his mailbox." "Sure," said the snail, "right away." Then Frog ran back to Toad's house. Toad was in bed taking a nap. "Toad," said Frog, "I think you should get up and wait for the mail some more." "No," said Toad, "I'm tired of waiting for the mail." Frog looked out of the window at Toad's mailbox. The snail was not there yet. "Toad," said Frog, "you never know when someone may send you a letter." No, said Toad. "I do not think anyone will ever send me a letter." Frog looked out of the window. The snail was not there yet. "But Toad," said Frog, "someone may send you a letter today." "Don't be silly," said Toad. "No one has ever sent me a letter before, and no one will send me a letter today." Frog looked out of the window. The snail was still not there. "Frog, why do you keep looking out of the window?" asked Toad. "Because now I am waiting for the mail," said Frog. "But there will not be any," said Toad. "Oh, yes, there will," said Frog, "because I have sent you a letter." "You have?" said Toad. "What did you write in the letter?" Frog said. I wrote, "Dear Toad, I am glad that you are my best friend. Your best friend, Frog." "Oh," said Toad, "that makes a very good letter." Then Frog and Toad went out onto the front porch to wait for the mail. They sat there feeling happy together. Frog and Toad waited a long time. 4 days later, the snail got to Toad's house and gave him the letter from Frog. Toad was very pleased to have it. And that is the end of the letter. So I'm going to keep it at not 1, not 3, but 2 short stories today. And I will be posting more at a later date. Now, there are many books that I have, and there are longer books that I have to read. So if you liked this, let me know. I plan on reading other kids' books, other adult books, and short stories. I have many books, so I'm excited to do more. And also, books make the best sounds ever. They make such good sounds, especially hardcover books. Okay, so the next time I open this book will be at a later date. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.